Today, I'm going to be building the FlikWing FPV drone by ThinkFlight and rctestflight.
Okay, so the package just came in.
I carried the package down to the basement, opened the box, started the tutorial video, and started following the instructions for the build. Here, I'm installing a support rod for the wing to help with structural stability. Now I'm sticking some 1-inch T-pins into the wing to keep the support rod from moving while the cement sets. And here's a couple more support rods for the L-rods to keep the control horn attached. And here's the other side. Now I'm testing the fit of the motor mount, and this next part is where I make a crucial mistake. You see, in the tutorial, they used the Dremel tool to trim down the motor mount, but I didn't have a Dremel, so I tried a different approach. Did you hear that? That was the sound of me breaking my motor mount in half.
You're not supposed to do this.
You think?
For some reason, the motor mount didn't seem to work after that. So I bought a Dremel.
But that part comes later. For now, let's get back to the build. Here I'm installing the tabs for the hatch so that it stays on during flight. And here's the other side. After the last catastrophe, I had to order a new motor mount, among other things. So after a few days, the hardware package came in. And it turned out that the package included a whole nother airframe.
I just bought another airframe.
And more importantly, I had the crucial motor mounts piece back. Then I decided to sort out the electronics. So I switched on the soldering iron and got to work. Here I'm soldering the connection between the ESC and the battery connector. And here's the connections for the BEC. Then I did a quick test of the electronics to see if everything worked. I plugged in the battery and turned up the throttle.
Great. But there's another problem. The servos. While I was doing some wiring off camera, I fired the servos accidentally. But Calvin, how could you possibly have let this happen? I hear you ask. Well, in order to answer your question, dear viewer, we first have to explore how a conventional RC circuit without a BEC works. How does this relate to you getting new servos? Shut up. Okay, so the power flows from the battery to the motor, right? Wrong. If you want to actually be able to control your plane, you'll need a receiver, an ESC, and some servos. The receiver, receives. The ESC, electronic speed controller, controls the power flow to the motor for throttle control. The servos operate the control surfaces, such as the ailerons or the rudder. That's an easy enough fix. Just apply power to the receiver through the ESC, and the receiver can then relay that power to the servos. But if, hypothetically, your receiver can't handle the 8.4 volts my 2S battery produces, then you need a BEC, a battery eliminator circuit. Basically, what it does is that it steps down the high battery voltage meant for the motor to a safe lower voltage for the receiver and the servos. Now my receiver can handle 8.4 volts. That's why I said hypothetically.
But what I didn't realize is that my servos couldn't take the heat. While I was testing some wiring off camera, I made the mistake of connecting the battery with its high motor voltage directly to the receiver, which then bounced that power to the servos. But my servos could only handle up to 6 volts, which is less than the supply of 8.4 volts, so they started smoking. I forgot to use a BEC, and that's what got me. That's why I'm ordering these new servos, and that's also why I was soldering in those connections. So we had to order some new servos, and a few days later the package arrived. I also decided to order a servo centering device. I decided to test it out with the new servos, which seemed to work. Then I connected the controller and started mixing the servo inputs. Then I glued the servos into the wing. And here's the other side. After that, I installed the wing spar covers. And there's the other one. Then I attached the top half of the fuselage. Then I used some pins. Lots and lots of pins. After that, I let the glue set overnight. To make sure that I hadn't gotten glue in the servos, I tested them.
It works.
Then I got to work gluing the horizontal stabilizers to the wing. Now I'm gluing the other side and attaching it. Then I cut a Velcro strip for the plane. Then it was time to attach the new motor mount piece. After that, I bent the control rods into shape. And here's the other side. Then I tested the elevons. After that, my dad and I went outside to sand down the motor mount pieces to accommodate for the wires. Then I attached the motor to the back of the plane. After that, the plane was finally done, so we headed out to the flying field for the maiden flight.
I had to put some weights because it's too tail heavy.
Oh yeah, you should probably keep that in mind.
Oh. It's alive. That looks good. Okay, I'm gonna launch it, I guess. Here goes nothing. Hey guys, sorry this one was a bit of a downer. Fun fact, this footage was taken in mid-October. There will be a part 2 of this video where we investigate what went wrong with this flight. And I also have a new series that I'm going to try out. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss those when they come out. Thank you to everyone who made it this far, and have a happy holiday season. CK, signing off.